What's up, y'all? Welcome back. Another episode, Quality Time TV. What's happening? Shout out to everybody that's tuned in, whether you on SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, whatever. We appreciate each and every single one of y'all. Today I have my guest Nicki from Love Child's Theory podcast. What's up, man?
Hey,
How you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
That's good. Glad to hear. Glad to hear. Thank you for coming on the show. By the way, I was on your podcast about was that a week or two ago now?
About a week or two.
Yeah, that was a really good
Exactly.
episode. Absolutely, that was a really good episode, man. We had a lot of good topics on there.
Hmm.
Word, word. So, let's get started. Some of the topics because Instagram likes to cut us off after an hour.
Right.
First thing I want to get into is this Meek Mill album that dropped, right? And we had a couple things that did happen on there. We had it was a great album. First of all, I got a chance to listen to it in the gym, and it was great. I enjoyed it. So, but something that happened on there that was interesting to me that I noticed on the internet was that everybody started like this little line that Jay Z said. So Jay Z
Hmm.
says on the record, "What's Free," featuring Rick Ross and Jay Z. He says, "No red hat. Don't Michael and Prince me and Ye. They separate you when you got Michael and Prince's DNA. I ain't one of these house niggas you bought. My house like a resort. Well, I can't even read. Uh, my house bigger than yours. My spout, come on, man. My house better, of course." And when this line got released, everybody on the internet, all the blogs and everything is like, yo, Jay Z dissed Kanye. Yo, he dissed him. He dissed him. Yo, they beefing. We not getting Watch the Throne too. And which, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw no Watch the Throne 2, I was a little bit sad. But I feel like there was no. If you really analyze this line, there was no beef at all. And I feel like the internet chose sides and created an argument out of nothing. And I feel like this happens very often on the internet. What do you
Hmm.
think?
I feel like that couldn't have been a diss because Hove already spoke his piece on the whole situation between him and Kanye on the Everything Is Love album that he had with Beyonce.
Mm,
And he was like, I ain't going to nobody's nothing if me and my wife beefing. Period. That was a direct shot to
mm,
Kanye. Know what that was about. We know he was addressing the situation because that's what the whole beef was about,
hmm.
him not showing up to Kanye's wedding.
Yeah.
I feel like this wasn't a diss. This was just him reacting to people saying, stop putting
Mm,
me against somebody who you know is my brother. He's called Kanye his brother multiple times. That he
mm.
went on David Letterman show
Oh
on
yeah.
Net, and he was like, brothers beef, but at the end of the day, that's still my brother.
Mm,
Period. So I think people are reaching. They're quick to choose sides because it's more entertaining to put two
mm,
people against each other
mm,
than on the same side. And people just want Kanye to be the bad guy. They want him to take a L.
mm,
He's not everybody's favorite person right now.
mm. 100%. I agree with you. And Kanye's always been the underdog in my eye. Like he's never been top dog. And I like that about him. He's never like you can't say Kanye has ever ran an era of hip hop. There's always somebody else there. But he's always altered the eras. And
Okay.
when I saw this line, I'm not gonna lie. At the beginning, I was like, "Well, he actually says yay in this. What is he talking about? He talks about the red hat." But then after you like break it down and you realize what he's talking about, he says he's literally saying what everybody did. He said, "Don't Michael and Prince us. Don't make us enemies," and that's exactly what they did. To the point, Jay Z had to come out and tweet about it.
Exactly. And he
Mm,
don't never get on Twitter.
never, but he had to clear the air because and now everybody's thinking that it's a diss instead of actually realizing and analyzing what's happening. And I think that's one of the problems with the internet. Like I think it's part of social media. We need to have some sort of drama on the internet, and it becomes biased where we choose a side and we make this war. And it's very unfortunate sometimes because we lose things. We lose the message sometimes. For example, like this. What do you think? Do you think that we lose a message sometimes?
I can't see.
Oh, am I still there?
Yeah. Lose the message with. The verse that Hope said.
Though with like the entire song in its entirety too. Did you get a chance to listen to the song?
I did listen to the song,
Mm-hmm.
and the message got lost because people just love to make assumptions, and I think that's another one of the big things that people are always doing, and even making an assumption thinking that we even getting a Watch the Throne too, because that was never explicitly um
Said.
like nobody ever said that that was something that was going to happen.
Hmm.
Kanye just got on Twitter one day and tweeted "Throne 2 soon." Like, what does that mean?
Doesn't mean anything, but
It doesn't mean anything.
everybody's gonna create their own image. Shout out to everybody's tuning in the chat. Rhodesia, Rolux, what's up? I see you. Thanks for tuning in. Um, but yeah, we do end up losing. We create this whole image, and within
Mm,
that song, there was something else that got brought up, and that came out. But for some reason, everybody cared more about the Jay Z and Ye. Well, I seen more Jay Z and Ye, but Rick Ross
mm-hmm.
had a direct shot at 6ix9ine on there, like direct.
Exact direct shot, and that was more overlooked.
Hmm.
And to my knowledge, this song was recorded way before
Hmm.
like 6ix9ine was even making headlines about to go to prison and stuff. And I didn't even know that him and 6ix9ine had beef.
Hmm. I didn't either. I think like that was. I'm seeing a lot of that now. A lot of people coming out and taking shots at 6ix9ine. Kind of talking about, oh, like this was gonna happen to you, or you're not the king of New York, or you was gonna lose. Like I'm seeing a lot of that now, and it's like, all right, now he's in jail. Now y'all want to come out and y'all want to talk. Um,
Right.
I, I'm not a fan of that. I feel like if you should have said it, granted, this was an album and this wasn't Ross's album, but you had a lot of time previous. Even if you wrote this in the past, why don't you say something before? Why you got to diss him on another man's track?
Because he's taking an L right now, because he can't respond,
Mm,
because his album was good,
mm,
and they probably do feel threatened by this young kid, this new kid, this new
mm,
generation rapper that's like putting on for the rappers like him.
mm,
Like, I can't even lie. I was not a fan of 6ix9ine when he was coming out, but he grew on me. His music isn't that bad.
mm,
It probably doesn't make much sense, but also none of the music this day really makes much sense anyways.
mm,
And they probably just feel threatened by him. I think he went on the Breakfast Club talking about how he's most hated
mm,
and he's underrated and he's the king of New York and he's this and he's that. And people really do hate him the way that he says that he's hated
mm.
and for no reason.
Hundred
Like,
percent.
I didn't like him and I didn't even know why I didn't like him. Like, I was 6ix9ine, I don't like him.
Yeah, and I think that's what ended up happening with Rick Ross. I don't think. Where did that come from? Like I was just confused as where did it come from?
Exactly.
And Meek didn't even address it either. Like what was the point? What was the point?
Exactly. I think Rick Ross also was just looking for his way back in
Mm,
because I can't even think of the last album he dropped was
mm.
early this year, like in the beginning of this year.
He did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yo, you bringing up some good points, but that kind of goes into like the next topic though. Like a couple things. Let's actually hop right into it. We was gonna do a wrap up, but you brought up some good stuff, so we're gonna hop right into the next topic. I'll go ahead and pull that up for y'all. So recently, there's been a lot of hate on the old heads. Thank y'all for tuning in. Rhodesia, I see you. I mean Rolex, I see you. T-Drix, I see you. Thank you for tuning in, y'all. Participate in the chat. If y'all got any thoughts, opinions, let us know. Um, but I feel like these old heads are kind of shitting on the younger kids, where they're
Mm-hmm.
bashing their music, and I think Rick Ross pulling that move was one of those attempts at it. And I just want to bring up a couple tweets that actually came out today with Ebro. He started posting this stuff, reposting, and one of the tweets was, "When I was a kid, I'd listen to Kane and Rakim and think, man, I'll never be this good. Kids today hear most hip hop and think, shit, I can do that, and truthfully, they can. which I do not agree at all with. But then he goes ahead and he reposts this other post from Will I Am, and he's like, "Oh, I agree." So Will I Am posts, the problem with hip hop is everybody could do it. It doesn't take much fucking skill right now to make hip hop. It's become the lowest hanging fruit. It's no longer about Rakim level, Nas level, not the deep metaphorical simile shit, right? And then we had another tweet that came out, and this was from Clark Kent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can barely see this. Wow. But y'all that can see it in the chat, y'all go ahead and y'all see. This is what Clark Kent has said. So he even made a shot at the younger kids. And I'm just like, why are we bashing the younger kids for their music when they were growing up, their family was looking down on hip hop. Like my family growing up thought Jay-Z was trash. Jay-Z. They thought Jay-Z was trash.
Right. And now he's top five. If he's not in your top five, you're wilding.
Yeah. And I'm seeing this constant pattern of people bashing the younger kids, and their music is really good. And I've been saying this for a little bit of time is I don't feel like I enjoy it. But here's the thing, I feel like we get to a certain age, and this is science. Our creativity curve ends after the age of 25. And we can't absorb what these kids are making because they're between the ages of 16 and 25, your most creative time of your life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing wrong with it. It's science, bro. It's science. There's a reason why the music industry is a young cat's game. It's it's very rare that we see 30, 40-year-olds actually coming out and then making it in this game. Because it's a young cat's game. That's what it is. It's about the energy. It's about the party. It's about having fun. That's how I feel about it. And they need to stop bashing them and actually absorb it. But you look like you got some thoughts on this. Let me hear what you got to say.
I feel like in response to the Will I Am quote
Mm,
about when he said the problem is with hip hop, anybody can do it, I think that is incorrect. I
mm,
think there's a difference between rap and hip hop. I think hip hop is more cultural.
mm,
Rap is just anybody can do rap. Like, because literally anybody can rap. Rap
mm,
is just writing some bars and making them rhyme over a beat.
mm,
But hip hop, I feel like, is deeper than that, and not everybody can do that. Like,
mm.
I don't think Lil Uzi Vert is hip hop.
Of
I
course
think
not.
that rap or whatever this new genre of music is, contemporary rap, whatever. Like, and I think it's just an old head thing to bash music that the new generation is listening to, because when I'm in the car with my mom and the radio comes on and I turn the volume up and I'm like, oh, I love this song, my mom is looking at me crazy like, you like this song, you listening to this? And I'm like, yeah, this is hot.
Mhm,
And I'm pretty sure that when I'm her age and I'm in the car with my kids, they're gonna be playing some music, and I'm gonna give them that same face, and I'm gonna bash the music and say, "Y'all don't know nothing about good music," and
mhm.
play some like Drake or something. So I just think that's just the old head thing. Old heads is always gonna have an opinion, and for Ebro to be the one to tweet those things is just, that's what he does. I feel like people look to him for his opinion because of, like, he's on Ebro in the morning. Like, they know him and Funk Flex too. Funk Flex does it also. They're always like, oh, they love to just stir up some mess on social media so that everybody else can, you know, put their 2 cents in.
But I feel I hear you. Like I definitely do see that. Whereas we're going to stir something up, but what are you doing about it? Like I see Ebro posting this, but what are you gonna do about it? Like, are you just really gonna sit here and
Hmm.
just talk about it? If you personally feel like the art of hip hop is lost, then find artists that are hip hop and have them go sell out a show. You know what? It's not gonna happen right now. Nobody wants to hear that lyrical stuff. And I come from an era where we enjoy that Nas, we enjoy that Rakim, that Jay Z storytelling with words. That's not what it is right now. And if we keep on bashing the kids, there's a reason why they're disrespecting the older cats. And I can
Hmm.
say Flex, honestly, he's accepted it. He started playing 6ix9ine when he came out. He's had Lil Yachty up on his freestyles. He's actually doing something about it. But when I see Ebro, the only thing I see is a bunch of hate. And It's not right. It's not right at all. Let them create. If anything, show them what to do. Show them how you did it so they can become greater artists. Let them create their art. Let them do what they're doing. That's just how I feel. I feel like Ebro's just out here just talking, like being a chatty patty and reposting stuff and saying, "Oh, you see, this is what I was saying."
I don't know if I believe that Ebro really believes those things that he tweets.
Mm,
Like he could be tweeting it, but I don't know if that's how he really feels.
mm,
Because I can't see you being a DJ, being on one of the hottest radio stations in the city, and you're just opposed to this one type of music. Like, how can you be so biased and be like on a radio show? Like,
mm,
literally, like Charlemagne can get on the radio show. He may not like your music, but he not gonna call you trash
mm,
on Breakfast Club. Like he may say like, "Oh, you make hot songs, but
mm.
you not that." Like he gonna let you know to your face, like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, he said it to Six
Ebro
Nine.
not doing that.
You bring it up. Charlamagne said it directly to 6ix9ine face, like, "Yo, you're not gonna last." That first interview, he was like, "Yo, you're not gonna last," and he kept it a buck. But
Mm.
6ix9ine proved him wrong, and I think with 6ix9ine proving him wrong, that should be an eye opener. It should be an eye opener to say, "All right, well, he's right.
Mm.
Maybe this is what people want. Why is he not headlining Summer Jam at this point?"
Right. Exactly.
Like, granted, he's had some stuff that happened to him, but this is what people want to hear now. This is what it's not just about the lyrics anymore. And to say that these kids are, you're basically saying they're talentless.
Right. And perfect example of a song that literally this new generation I really don't understand. Like my students today were singing the Sheck West song Mo
Mo
Bamba,
Bamba, ooh,
Mo Bamba. Yes, and I was just like, y'all know this song? And I couldn't believe that they were singing, little sixth graders, and I
yup.
couldn't believe that they were singing the words to the song. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't escape this.
Mm,
And I don't know what he's saying in the song. I don't know what the song is about. I probably didn't even say the title of the song right, but it's like obviously this generation they don't care what the artist is talking about as long as it sounds good. And if it sounds good, I'm not gonna hate on the next person. I don't think I'm gonna be one of those old heads. Like I'm not gonna be an Ebro.
I think
I'll probably be more of a Charlemagne.
Charlamagne. I respect that. See, I respect that though, and it's interesting that you say it's about the way how it sounds because I think it's also we had DJ Fame on here, and he's a great DJ. He works actually with Grandmaster Flash. He's worked on the Netflix show The Get Down. He said hip hop isn't a genre. Hip hop is a feeling.
Mhm.
And when I hear this new music now, you listen to Mo Bamba. There's a reason there's energy because there's a feeling in it. I feel good, and even like we brought up Uzi earlier. I'm gonna keep it a buck. About 3-4 years ago, I hated mumble rap. I hated it entirely. I could not see why anybody would listen to it. I said Uzi was trash. I said XXX Tentacion was trash. I said they
Mhm.
all were trash. But it was one video that I found on YouTube, and this guy made a acoustic version to it was some, oh god damn, that's the bitch that I love. Oh god damn, diamonds all in my, I forget the name of that song, but I could just remember him singing it with his guitar and actually creating an acoustic song out of it. I'm like, wow, now I can hear the talent in Uzi Vert. I had to separate him from his music, and now I'm like, yo, just his style is so unique. Of him using the production, he's one of the only, if you want to call him hip hop, one of the only artists that's using an accordion in his songs.
Mhm.
That's different. That's talent for him to actually be able to do that. Because not everybody could get on a song like and attack it the way Uzi does. Not everybody could get on a song and attack it the way XXX Tentacion was attacking songs.
Yeah,
Mm,
no, that's true. I guess I'm not a big Uzi fan.
nah. What about X? What about XXX Tentacion?
XXX grew on me. I was familiar with like a few of his songs before the Question Mark album, but
Mm,
that's when I really started to become a fan. And then, unfortunately, he was taken away from us. So that's that.
mm. And I remember having a conversation with somebody, and I said, do they listen to X? And they said, nah, I don't listen to him because I don't like how he looks.
Now, see, that's a messed up reason to not listen to someone,
Mm-hmm.
because there's plenty of artists out there that don't look like they may sound, may rap good, but if you're listening, like, I feel like if people were able to listen to the artist before they got to see them,
Mm-hmm.
that would be a much better, like, a better way to just discover new music. A lot of the times when I'm looking to find new music, I'll just turn on my Apple Radio,
Mm-hmm.
pick a genre, and just let it play, because I half the time I won't even know what's playing right now, and if I like the song, I'm gonna download it. The perfect example of that is when I discovered Daniel Caesar. I had no idea
Mm-hmm.
what he looked like, and 9 times out of 10, if I would have seen his face before I heard his voice, I probably would never chose to listen to the song that I did, because the voice that comes out his mouth looks nothing like, no shade at all, but I was shocked. I was just like, wow. And then when I finally saw him, I was like, wow, like that's him. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. I probably would have said the same thing
Mm-hmm.
for Extension if I would have never seen him before I actually chose to listen to his music. And then I would have been like, wow, like this is what he looks like. Like people need to, like you said, you can't separate the artist from their music. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times people can't separate the artist from anything, just like in talking about Kanye, people can't separate him from anything else that he does.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. They do kind of throw Kanye into this one bag with his, I'm gonna say, his antics and then his music, and then say like, oh, he's I'm not gonna listen to him because of what he said. And it's a good, the points you made up about like Daniel Caesar and then XXX Tentacion, like you, even Trippy Red, I was a victim to it. I said this guy looked like Chucky. He looked scary. I'm not gonna listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember his first album that came out. I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't really like it. But his last album that came out, I was like, wow, this is really good. And it's because I had an open mind to the new music to say, all right, let me give this a try. Let me give it a listen with open ears.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's happening now, where we can't have an open ear because we're judging books by the cover. We're judging music by the artist, the way how they look before we even get a chance to listen. And I think X didn't get a lot of recognition that he deserved because of how he looked, where he had no. You really think about it, he had no really radio backing until Sad came out and until he passed. Like there was no DJ saying, "Yo, XXX, I'm dropping this in the club or I'm playing this." There was nobody really out here repping him like that. He built his own little community of followers for him to be
Mm-hmm.
able to do what he did, and he was great. He was great at it.
And
And
he had the help of a lot of rappers too, like Kodak. That
mm,
Kodak song really put him on a lot to open him up to new fans. Rolling Peace
oh
was
yes,
that song.
yes.
That song actually got a lot. That was probably his most played song on the radio
Mm. Beyond Look at
with
Me.
X on it.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, because I know Look at Me was definitely one of those. eh, Look at Me fit his image. That was the thing about it. It fit his image. When you heard Look at Me, you were like, okay, I see this kid. He's running around and he's hopping on people. He's beating people up in videos on YouTube. He had fight compilations on YouTube. You're like, okay, I can see this. Like I see what he's doing. Then he goes ahead and drops an album like 17, and it's a totally different path. Like that caught me way off guard. And he's creating songs about depression and losing people and suicide, and it's just like, damn, like bro, you're how old, and you know all of this. I can vibe with you about this. And I think just like going back to the old heads, none of the old heads was looking at that and saying, wow, this kid created an album like that. I ain't see Ebro talking about X and promoting him. I ain't
Mm-hmm.
see none of these radio DJs really promoting him or talking about him until he passed. I just feel like it's gonna end up leading to a negative what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't know. It's gonna end up being negative for the future of hip hop and music, where the kids aren't gonna want to respect the older heads, and it's happening now. And if we continue on this path of bashing them, there's some people that do respect them, like Fat Joe. I think Fat Joe respects them, But if we continue that path, I think that it's gonna end up just being bad all the way around.
Mm, I'm probably in the middle. I don't think that a majority of the new generation feels that way because a lot of them are real in tune with like older types of music.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, when I think about my students, I play music for them a lot,
Mm.
and I play like a mixture of music. Like sometimes they'll ask me to play Little Baby, sometimes they ask me to play New Edition or
Oh
like
wow.
yeah, and they'll know the words to these songs. I'm like, okay, like so y'all ain't totally lost, like y'all know a little bit. So they're real in tune with like all types of music because also remember this is the generation of kids who have access to the internet and they
Mm-hmm.
love YouTube and they were born for this. So
Yeah, we're born into it.
yeah, they were born into
Mm.
the age of the internet, so they already know how to search stuff and they just love music. They love good music. They all have access to TV.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that they don't respect the older type of music. I think they have respect. They just this is their
Time.
now. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
their now.
So to wrap it up, I think I'm gonna say that and shout out to everybody who's tuned in. Julian, I see you. Flea Mason, I see you. Thank you for tuning in. Um, I think what needs to happen now is we need to start accepting what they're making. Like you said, if they are respecting it, we should be respecting. If they're respecting the older music, we should be respecting them and their style. Their style is probably gonna last. It's probably gonna be here to stay, and it's showing signs of it. So I feel like we should be respecting them and their craft. What about you?
I agree. I feel like we can't demand respect and not be giving it back to them. I think the most I can do to do my part is when I'm older, I'm not gonna make sure that I don't bash like the music that's playing it just because it sounds a little different, but be a little bit more accepting of it and actually try to listen to it or just remember like back in my day, even now, like because now this present day would be back in my day to my future self.
Mm.
And some of the music now doesn't even make any sense, but it sounds good. So I just have to remember that that is a thing that music can just sound good even if it doesn't make much sense to you.
Mm.
Still be charting. I honestly was looking at the Billboard 100 and a lot of the top 10 songs is just crazy. The songs out there.
What's
I
on
know
it? I haven't looked at it in a while.
Sicko Mode is number one.
Mm.
Some song called Marshmallow and something is like number two.
Oh, Marshmallow's dope.
I don't even know what that is.
Mm.
Maybe I'm late, but the top 10 is crazy. Thank You Next is like number three or something.
Mm.
But shout out to Sicko Mode getting number one. I love that song.
Mm. Marshmallow, he's that little EDM producer. Um,
Oh,
I'm trying to think what song could be. I haven't checked it in a while, but like you
I don't.
said, it what you said?
So I don't know the name of the song, but it's number two.
I gotta check that. But I mean, there's even some songs that just sound good. It's not even in English, and we'll take it as long as it feels good.
Mm-hmm.
100%. So, um, going into like the old heads bashing the younger generation, there is there are artists. Hold up, Julian says something. He said, "But where's the platform to ensure this generation can truly embrace where the older generation comes from? We were driving and waking up in our parents' car when on early Sunday a.m. and or cleaning." That's true. I can see that. Um, I think, and let me know what you think too. What do you think about that? Before I get
I
into it.
think the Breakfast Club is still a thing. Like people still get in their cars and listen to the radio. And if you don't listen to the radio, the Breakfast Club is also available on iTunes podcast.
Mm,
It's also available on YouTube. There are so many music platforms that celebrate all types of music. Joe Budden, Remy Ma, Scotty Beam, and Jinx are on State of the Culture,
mm,
on which is a YouTube visual podcast. Um, I feel like there's a lot of platforms that celebrate all types of stuff. The Soul Trains Awards on BET this year was actually really dope.
mm,
and celebrated a lot like of the older culture, and just think of that being on TV now. The younger generation is seeing that, and they're seeing how much praise and like recognition that type of music has gotten. And I wouldn't even say that this younger generation isn't as accepting of the older music, because a lot of the music producers now sample music from way back in the day, and we don't even realize it just because we're not on that side of like the field, you know what I mean? Like if you think about all the songs that probably dropped way back when, even Kanye, I'm always talking about Kanye, but
All good.
but the music that he samples half the time my grandparents was listening to,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't even realize it until probably I'm with my grandparents and I hear that song, and then I'm like, I know that song. That's no what's the song. What is whatever it's called, and then she'll be like, no, that's this, and I'll be like, oh wow, and then that's when the appreciation for the older music comes,
Mm,
because then it's like, okay, like I guess if Metro Boomin can use it,
mm,
I can, mess with it.
I like that. No, you're right. Um, it is there, and I always say like sampling is just a beautiful thing that you can take somebody's record and turn it into a totally different experience for a whole other generation. Um, and like he says, where's the platform to ensure the like I like what Julian said about the platforms. Like when we were waking up on a Sunday, we would hear like Luther Vandross playing in our living rooms, and for my family, we Jamaican, so we had like Beres Hammond, Barrington Levy,
Hmm.
and all of that stuff. Um, and we don't have that. I'm not gonna lie, we kind of don't have it now, and I think it's because of the internet, where there's too many resources. For us, when we woke up in the morning, that was our iTunes, whatever was playing. We couldn't just pop the CD out and put 50 Cent Get Rich or Die Trying in, because my mom would smack me upside my head. Julian says, if we don't realize it, how can we appreciate it? Kanye in the sunken place now, but how am my son going to understand sampling without any context?
Or like
Mm,
I just feel like how great it is that we all have iPhones and like have access to things like Spotify and SoundCloud and Apple Music and Tidal, and how I can go from listening to Shaka Khan
mm,
to Ariana Grande to Tupac to Mary J. Blige to Faith Evans to Juice World,
mm,
just like that. And I just listen to all those different types of songs like within like 10 minutes, and appreciate those songs just for what they are.
mm.
That's not me necessarily. Like I feel like the music the music streaming resources that we have now are the platforms that we need to that the younger generation have, where they can learn to appreciate old and new music, because all there's literally billions of songs out there on all
Yep,
these platforms. People just have to find them.
100%. And it's interesting that you say that. You can get all these songs. Insta Joe, what's going on? I see you. Um, because I also feel like L Dot, what's going on? I see you. I feel like the streaming platforms aren't pushing it though. Like when you look at what's hot playlists, they're not really mixing it up the way how we would mix it up. And I was the same way. Even before streaming, you went on my iPod, I would go from Lil Wayne to Luther Vandross in two songs, and then after Luther, we going into Fall Out Boy and Linkin Park. But there's no way to really get that right now if we're just going and having if we're just going directly on there. What you got?
Not necessarily true, because I don't know. I don't know. I try to use my Apple Music to the fullest extent, because if I'm gonna pay for it, they gonna. But anyway, like when you listen to like your iTunes, I don't know if other music streaming services do this, but I know Apple Music does it, and it looks at the music that you have in your
Mhm,
library, and it kind of like personalizes a radio for you and will play music that it thinks you want to hear.
mhm,
So whether it's music you already have in your current library, or if it's just a song suggestion, and it you 9 times out of 10 it's a song you probably want to hear,
mhm,
because it's listening to the songs that you like play, or the types of songs
mhm.
that you play. So I don't know, I think that's one way that Apple Music is
Yeah,
kind of doing it.
I think that goes to like what Julian was saying though when he said if we don't realize it, how can we appreciate it? Like when he says like Kanye sampling, but because if we don't have that style of music in our Apple Music, it's not going to get it for us. Where we do have uh, Linkin Park falling into our library because all we've listened to this whole time was hip hop. Instra Joe says, "Nah, that's why I love Tidal. It stays showing new music and artists of all genres to put people onto new music." No, 100%. I can respect the new music. What I mean is the older music, the stuff that we wouldn't be able to find or know about, like what Julian said with the samples. If we don't know that somebody sampled a record until we hear it, how can we have a respect for it?
Then I think that's something you have to deal with the producers and the engineers because
Mm,
they're putting the song together. They're the ones going getting the older music, or maybe if you want them to sample more older
mm,
music. But then also they chop and screw the music so much. Nine times we barely recognize the song when we hear it anyway. Because I just
that's
found out
true.
today that Juice World is like apparently being sued for using
Sting.
a Sting melody, and I didn't even know that that's what that song was. But it's like there goes an instance of him using a song from like a previous generation
Mm.
in one of the songs that probably every 10-year-old from here to California knows word for
Love that
word.
song.
But I think that was a perfect example. That's a good question though.
Mm. Yeah, and I think streaming services could probably provide that. I think Spotify did something like that, where they would give you information on the song as you were streaming it, and
Hmm.
maybe that's something that all streaming services need to start doing. Like, yo, if this was sampled.
Pandora was one of the first streaming services I
Hmm.
realized that did it way before I had like Apple Music or anything in Spotify. That when Pandora would play the song, they always give like a bio about the artist, about the
Mm.
song, more like this, kind of like that. But that's what I do. I do that with my iTunes. I always hit, if I like the song and I never heard it before, I'm going to hit more like this, whether it's old or new, just so I can hear more new current music.
Absolutely. Instra Joe says word like a pop-up video type idea. Yeah, 100%. I feel like that can solve that issue that Julian had brought up about um, how can we have a respect for it if we don't know about it, and you can't know what you don't know. um,
Hmm.
Maybe the streaming services, maybe they do need to throw something in. Like if you heard Juice World's Lucid Dreams and you streamed it 1,232 times, maybe they should play the Sting record and say, hey, you might like this.
Hmm.
So maybe the streaming services have a part to do with people overlooking the older generation's music.
Maybe that's an app somebody need to make
Oh,
in comments.
somebody hop on it. I want parts. I want parts. But
2% off the top.
there is a lot of good artists out here. Like I think Juice World is a very great artist, and he's very talented. But I want to get into the next topic where T Pain tweeted something recently where he says, I'm actually gonna pull the tweet up for you guys. So T Pain says, the fact that people complain about music and still don't put Anderson .Paak on top is beyond me. There are real musicians out here not getting the roses because they don't have enough drama in their lives on Instagram, and I'm baffled. That's how I read it. That's how I read it. um, Julian says something in here. She said, "What are your thoughts on the platform bringing? What are your thoughts on bring? Thoughts? Sorry, whoa. He sent two messages. But he said, what are your thoughts on a platform bringing older generation in tune with the new generation music? My moms would bump OD Kanye West Blood on the Leaves. How do you think we can bridge that?" Uh, that's a good. And he said, my bad, new topic. L dot says transitions crispy. Shout out, thank you, bro. But um, that's a good idea. Bringing everything together, and that's kind of what I was saying. Just bringing it all together. Where, for example, like what T Pain says, and Anderson .Paak. Anderson .Paak is a really great artist, very talented, but he's not getting a lot of recognition because he doesn't have a lot of crap going on in his life.
Mm.
Maybe these streaming services should be pushing that, and he doesn't sound like something that's out right now. Same thing like with Bruno Mars. Oh, you got some thoughts. I see it. I see it. What you got?
I wouldn't say that streaming service aren't pushing it. We have to be like there to listen.
Mm,
Like, 'cause I know when I'm listening to like my R&B radio station on Apple Music, I hear Anderson .Paak all the time. But that
mm,
also goes to the type of music that you listen to personally, because a
mm,
lot of these streaming services are customized to what you already listen to.
mm,
So I think the first time I ever heard an Anderson .Paak song, I downloaded his music, and then I started to hear it more and more frequently.
mm,
And then also, I wouldn't even say that, to go back to the T-Pain tweet, I wouldn't even say that I know there's a lot of artists out there that
mm,
need to get recognition, but just think about how many talented artists there are out there, and everybody can't be number one all at once. You feel
mm,
like, I feel like everybody has their season, and now that I'm starting to see more and more of Anderson .Paak, maybe his season is up next. Like
mm,
Cardi B season was last year.
mm,
This year could be whoever, and then the year before that was Kendrick or like whatever.
mm,
But like somebody has to be number one, and then the following year somebody like
mm.
will take the torch.
Well, I think what he's saying too, I agree with you 100%. Somebody has to be, you can only have one person on top. And this year, like you said, last year's Cardi B, I think this year was 6ix9ine.
Hmm.
But I think what he's getting into is also that the talented artists, the ones that do have the talent that these old heads are complaining about, since these young kids are talentless, we're not focusing on Anderson .Paak. We're not focusing on, I like this artist named Masego. We're not focusing on him. He's phenomenal. He's a great artist. And it's because they're not on Instagram doing wild stuff and creating drama in their lives, compared to like a 6ix9ine creating something new every single week, where we're forced to see him. Or like you see a Lil Pump, and Lil Pump comes out and he's pissing on his money, and you're just like, yo, like this is wild. But he now becomes relevant after that.
That's exactly it. It all is about relevancy. For instance, if I was to go and ask one of my students who's better, Andre 3000 or Little Pump, what you think they're gonna say? They're gonna say Little Pump, because they don't
Wow.
know that Andre 3000 is like
Mm,
a beast in actuality, and that's fine for them to think that, because they didn't grow up with
mm,
Andre 3000.
mm.
You know what I'm saying?
100%. Nah, you're absolutely right. They it's not around for them to hear. And
Right. That's not their fault. That's just the times that we live in. They got Little Pump right now. But when they get older and when they start to explore music, when they start to listen to other things and see, they'll realize that, okay, there's Andre 3000, there's Jay-Z back in the day and now, there's Nas, there's Rakim, there's all these other types of music that was lit like back in the day.
mm. Julian says it's all relative. Uh, I'm guessing. But to your point, how do we bridge that? Um, I'm guessing he's saying, how do you bridge that? My bad.
Well, how do we get the youngins into with
Young, yeah, with the older cat. I mean, I have an answer for that, and I think I said this on the previous episode. Is that maybe the older artists should be not putting the younger artists under their wing, but actually like wanting to work with them. And sometimes it doesn't always work. Like Future tried to work with Juice World, and I wasn't a fan of it. But I like the fact that he made an attempt to do that. That he
hmm
wanted to work with Juice World. Same thing like with X and Kanye. I like the fact that Kanye made an attempt to work with XXX Tentacion, instead of saying, "Oh, this is trash." Julian also say some critics say thanks to mumble rap, hip hop is at its lowest point. What are your thoughts on that? Uh, that's exactly what we were talking about before with the old heads. That's exactly what they were saying. That mumble rap is at its lowest point. That anybody can do it. Anybody can be hip hop.
But how many of us could really go in the studio and write a hot song
Mm,
and it be top 10? Because I know I couldn't. So not
mm,
anybody can. You could say anybody
mm,
could, but could you really
mm.
go do it? Because I don't think I could.
And something else I seen going to like the whole drama thing is you need a gimmick. Six
Right.
Nine's gimmick was he had like the tattoos on his face and then like the colorful hair, and Julian says, "Shit, I can't." And you need to become an artist. Then you need to change your name, become a rapper, man. But um, sometimes people say you need a gimmick, like Lil Pump pissing on his money or 6ix9ine
Right.
doing what he did, and does the gimmick make you a better artist? Like, do you become bigger after the gimmick? Is that what we need, or does the music still matter that you put out?
I think it makes you more popular, but I wouldn't say it makes you a better artist because look at the artists out there who have no gimmick.
Mm,
J. Cole doesn't have a gimmick, and
mm,
he's undeniably, definitely top five. And he literally just be chilling all the time, like
mm.
really just like chilling heavy, and
Very true. Very true. So,
and he even takes artists under his wing. I'm sorry,
no, no, go ahead. You're good.
he takes artists under his wing. He has a song with a fairly new artist, Bass.
Oh, yes, I've heard of him.
And I think that's a fire song. And because that song was so good, and because J. Cole hopped on that song, I listened to more of this artist stuff, and this artist stuff was good. Which I think goes back to what you had said, that if more of the artists that everybody fucks with actually like is willing to collab with these newer artists,
Mm,
people would be more acknowledgeable of their their music.
mm. That's very true. So I don't think hip hop is at its lowest point. If anything, I think hip hop is in a great transition. But we keep considering these artists hip hop, and I think that's also what's destroying everything. Where, at one point in time, punk rock was a disgrace to music, and it's now considered a huge staple in rock right now. And I think we're in that phase where the gimmicks and the crazy hair like they had in the punk rock era, the clothes that they wore, the things that they had surrounding them, made them gave them more attention. So it's almost
Mm,
like history repeating itself. So
mm.
I wouldn't say hip hop's at its lowest time. I think it's just transitioning into something bigger than what it started off being.
I would honestly say it's not at its lowest point. I think it's at the opposite, like one of its highest points,
Mm,
because you're somebody who's always on Instagram or always watching the news, or you're just in tune with music, so you know that records are always being dropped. Another platinum plaque is always being given out.
mm,
The streaming record is being broke. Like, so I don't think hip hop is really doing all that bad. I just think people have to be a little bit more open minded
mm,
and willing to accept that, okay, this is what it used to be, but this is what it is now. And
mm.
it's okay to like how music was before, but this is what it is now.
Got it. So we got a couple things in the chat. Oh, let me pull this back up. So Instadro says hip hop is evolving, and I think we don't realize that hip hop, much like the hood, moves at a faster pace than other lifestyles and cultures and genres. So he's saying hip hop evolves, and I think we don't realize that hip hop, much like the hood, it's moving at a faster pace than other lifestyles and culture. You got to keep up. Julian says 6ix9ine number two on Billboards is not a disgrace. Granted, his production is phenomenal, but why is Anderson .Paak and Jaden Smith OD? And he puts this in caps. OD underrated. Sire and the Lost Tapes are fire. Never even heard of, including XXX. Uh, I don't think. See, I'm a 6ix9ine fan. I don't think 6ix9ine on the Billboards is a disgrace. I think 6ix9ine he studied the internet. Like, he studied it and learned it and created an art out of trolling. He created an art out of his music where his style, there's an energy that flows through his music, that you have to kind of respect him being number two on the Billboards. You have to respect him being able to hit it back to back to back, actually just getting on the Billboard consistently, even if
Mm-hmm.
he's not being number one. Not everybody can do that. Not even
Right.
mainstream artists can do that. But what do you think?
I think that to thinking about something like that is something that if you want to see your artist, or a particular artist or a particular genre
Mm,
in the Billboard at a certain number or whatever, just think about, like, it's a question I have to ask myself, like, how many times did I listen to this artist's song or album
mm,
versus 6ix9ine? Like, I know I listened to the 6ix9ine album every day when I get on the train. But I'm not always listening to like Kendrick Lamar
Mm,
or J. Cole. Some music I really feel like I have to be in the mood for. If I'm on my way to work and I'm tired, I'm gonna listen to something that's gonna get me more amped up. I'm gonna listen to
true.
6ix9ine. I'm gonna listen to Meek Mill because I don't want to be chill right now. I'm on my way to work, got things to do, stuff that needs to get done.
Mm,
Now, on a different day at a different time when I'm in a different mood, I'm gonna listen to Jaden Smith. I'm gonna listen to Anderson Paak. I'm gonna listen
mm,
to Daniel Caesar and all of that. There's a time and place for everything. I feel like, and if you want to see Anderson Paak in the top five,
mm,
play his album all day and night.
mm.
Period.
Julian says that's where I have to gracefully disagree. To your point, 6ix9ine studied mainstream current generational hip hop and made it big. J. Cole, Kendrick, Hove, all of the HOF, uh, HOF are not generational in my opinion. Oh, I think he's saying hip hop. In my opinion, hip hop is not generational. It's about your and telling your story and the truth and artistry. Uh, I could see that. I get what you're saying. He did study mainstream, and he figured out how to do it the right way, where he can be the center of attention, something that everybody talks about. But as far as him telling his story and truth and artistry, kind of. Oh, he's saying Hall of Fames. Okay, and all of the Hall of Fames are not generational. See, I think that he could have probably been generational, and he's proven that he can make different styles of music.
Yeah, his album was very diverse.
Very diverse. But I get what you're saying, 100%. Like it's his music compared to what we're used to listening to when we are used to listening to J. Cole or Kendrick or Jay-Z, when we're used to listening to that, and then something new comes out like 6ix9ine and we throw it into the hip hop category, it starts to lose its value because 6ix9ine is not hip hop as we know it. It's not. It's like you said, there's a time and place for it. I listen to 6ix9ine close to 5 to 6 days a week because I listen to 6ix9ine every single time I'm in the gym. Every single time I'm in the gym, there's at least 1 to 2 6ix9ine songs that are playing. So
Mhm.
I'm definitely part of the reason that he is on the Billboard. But I'll be honest, I'm an Anderson .Paak fan, but I'm not listening to Anderson .Paak every day when I'm in the gym. There's a
Mhm.
certain lineup of people, and that's what I need to listen to put me into that zone. And that's showing replay value. You need to have replay value in order to make it on the Billboard now with these streaming stuff. You can't just sell a record and call it a day. People have to come back and actually stream your stuff. Um,
Exactly.
yeah. So I agree. I agree 100% with what he's saying. I can see it from your end, but that's just my take on it. 6ix9ine is he's gonna continue to do what he does. Instra Joe says that's true. And shout out to everybody that's tuned in right now. Um, y'all are awesome. I love all of y'all. But we're almost at that mark. Let's go ahead and wrap this up with drama versus talent. So, do you think does drama make the artist? Does it make them hit the billboard? Does it make them a better artist? Are more people more inclined to listen to their music if they have drama and they're on Instagram?
Um, I guess it depends on what you consider drama,
Mm,
or maybe it goes back to what you said of like you got to have a gimmick. But drama, I mean, drama just makes an artist trending.
mm,
I don't think that has anything to do with records. Well, maybe it does. It does directly go back to record sales. So maybe yeah,
mm.
maybe yeah.
Got you. Julian
I
says, my
so
only thing is that everyone is saying Hove's What's Free verse on Meek's album is #1 of the year. Back in 2000, I'd argue that was like top 10. Would you disagree? Eldot says maybe top 3. That verse was fire, but I agree. Um, from a hip hop standpoint, Hove has been dropping some really great verses recently from the 444 album.
yes,
So, you know, what do you think? Do you think that was top verse of the year?
Hove's verse top verse of the year.
Hmm. He dropped some gems.
I feel like I don't want to say that's verse of the year because the year is not over yet,
Mm.
and there are still some albums that might possibly drop.
You talking about Kanye?
I'm waiting. And no, there's a few that are supposed to drop, like him. I'm got my fingers crossed for Gambino
Mm,
and um who is that? Chance the Rapper, which probably is not gonna happen this year.
mm.
But I'll definitely say that that whole verse was top five, top five best verses of the year. Definitely, probably number two. I don't know what number one would be, but I don't want to give it the number one spot because I have to think about that.
Mm,
For a
mm.
verse of the year,
Nah,
mm,
it's not there.
no, I don't know. I don't know.
The verse of the year is 6ix9ine Fifi.
What? Never.
Nah, I'm messing with y'all. L. Dot says, so now what might have been considered mediocre in the 90s, 2000s is fire in 2018. That's an interesting point. And we do have a couple more minutes. We could probably dive into this because that is a good point. Do you think that's because of the lack of verses, the lack of good verses to compare it to?
Probably, maybe. I think because now the focus isn't so much on the lyrics, but it's more on how the song was engineered and put together. Because the
Mm,
beat is what you hear before you hear anything. And I kind of feel like if the beat is hard, people kind of zone out and focus more on that than they do the lyrics. And they won't
mm,
even pay attention to what they're saying. So oftentimes you might even overlook a fire verse just because you're listening to how the song sound.
mm. That's true. Julian says L. Dot dropping real gems right here. Flea Mason says so so whole verse not best verse of the year. Julian says Flea Mason know what the fuck he talking about too. L. Dot says yeah, but if you the best out of a pile of shit, what are you really the king of? Um, that's a good
Rap
point.
is not a pile of shit. He's saying rap is a pile of shit now.
He's saying that if you the best out of it, then you're gonna stand out. You're gonna be the king. Cause,
Okay.
Cause like I mean, what when we talk about that whole verse, what are the other verses of the year that we have to compare that to right
Other whole verses.
now? Exactly.
other whole
Exactly.
no. Okay. So other whole verses. Kendrick Lamar.
What verse?
What? What do you mean? What verse?
What
What
verse?
song? Like pick a song. Pick a song.
Mm,
J. Cole. Pick a song.
mm.
Damn. Kid Cudi. Pick a song.
I think Nas had a really good verse on
Nah,
he
come on.
dropped, yeah, that that he had some, and no, actually I know what the best verse was. Lil Wayne, Kendrick, Mona Lisa. Come on, like that was a whole story right there that they gave us. Flea
Mhm.
Mason says yeah, but Hov still put that verse together beautifully. He did, but you know I like Hov, but I'm gonna say verse of the year for me was that Kendrick Wayne song. That whole thing in the entirety was amazing.
Verse of the year.
Julian says I think you have to consider what is most politically pertinent right now. Um, Flea Mason says damn. I guess he's saying damn Deem, you're right. Um, yeah, you do. It depends on what you have to compare it to that we make it the best verse. But before Instagram cuts us off, because we are at an hour right now, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Nicki, tell them where they can find you at, where your podcast is, all of that.
You could click the link in my bio at Nikki Loves the Cool Kids or at Hip Hop's Love Child. Find my podcast at Love Child's Theory Podcast on SoundCloud, at Love Child's Theory on Instagram, at LCT Podcast on Twitter. Yep. Thank you for having me.
Nah, thank you for coming on the show. That was great. That was really good. Thank you everybody for tuning in. iTunes podcast, YouTube, wherever y'all are. Appreciate y'all. And that's it. It's a wrap. Peace.